I know I'm late to the party, but Charlie Kirk's dead. Which just really hit me in a way I struggle to explain properly. You see, I was a hate watcher of his. Ever since I got out of the alt-right pipeline, I've been hate watching Charlie stuff off and on for years. It's not like I was a disgruntled fan of his. Even when I was in the grip of the alt-right pipeline, I never really watched Charlie Kirk or Steven Crowder. I thought they were too unsophisticated, and their messages were, I guess, too on the nose for me. They were trying too hard to steer their audience in a direction, and it was pretty obvious even when I was a right winger. Anyway, me being in my early 20s and deep in the pipeline, I always thought that I was too smart for the likes of Steven Crowder and Charlie Kirk. Those guys were for barely educated plebs. For me and my sophisticated palate, oh no. Ben Shapiro and Jordan Peterson were more my flavor at that time, with the smart fast talking and the facts don't care about your feelings and whatnot. But then years passed and I shifted to the left with the passage of time. Got over with my infatuation with the owning of the libtards. Those libtards owning compilations just stopped hitting the same way for me, I guess. Honestly, now when I look at them, they seem pretty cringe, not gonna lie. I also found a new interest, which was, surprise, surprise, watching conservatives and MAGA get owned compilations instead of the libtard ones. And I was happy again. That's also where I started coming across Charlie Kirk more and more. Him being owned in these compilations, that is. Charlie would make some stupid point that was ignorant, racist, or just went beyond reality. And some presumable leftist would say, that's not true, you're a bigot, ta ta ta. Sometimes the quips would be funny and I would be in the comments calling Kirk a moron and getting into arguments with his fans. This became my little guilty pleasure, the reading of comments, especially the ones making fun of him, and his stupid points that were pretty dumb. Enjoying arguing with his supporters, leaving mean comments. Yeah, I've been doing this off and on for 5 years. It started with the pandemic and it just got worse from there. It was fun and games for a while, but then the Israeli genocide began, and then it started to make me angry as Kirk shamelessly defended Israel at every turn, excused the murder of hundreds of thousands of men, women, and children. So I started taking breaks. Mental health breaks, if you want to call it, but I would always come back in the end. I don't even know myself why, really. Hell, I got in so much into hate watching him that I started going to his channel to watch him and debate his fans in the comment sections. Why did I do that? I don't know. It's hard to explain. Hate watching is pretty weird. It makes you feel all sorts of things that you don't normally feel, and you get addicted to it. So when Charlie died so suddenly, it was a sobering moment for me. Here was a right-wing influencer propagandist that I'd kind of hated and disliked, but also mostly spent my free time watching get owned, and he was gone. Forever. So suddenly. It was a mixture of feelings that I went through. Despite disliking that guy, I couldn't help but feel a little empty and, dare I say, even a little sad about the suddenness of it all. Now, it's not like I discovered newfound love for him or anything, and let's be honest, I did not shed any tears. In fact, some of the comments about his death did make me laugh. Not gonna lie. Especially this one. It's my favorite one for now. Personally, I didn't make any comments about his death like that because it felt, I don't know what word to use. Wrong. It felt wrong for me. But I think it's probably more that I watched him and his hateful rhetoric for so long that it felt like I kind of knew him in a weird way. I mean, it's parasocial as fuck. Now that I'm saying it out loud, it sounds very parasocial, but I think that's just how people work. And I don't begrudge the people making fun of him in his death. I remember all the comments Charlie made about George Floyd dying. Game is game, knock yourself out. I have enjoyed a few of them, and I personally wouldn't make them, but he made so many hateful comments and he made so many people angry. It was bound to happen. What really stopped me in my tracks and also inspired me to make this video were comments like these. comments that insinuated that Israel assassinated Charlie Kirk because he was going to turn against the ethno-state. When the fuck did that happen? Did I miss dearly departed Charlie Kirk seeing the light on Israel and Gaza? I've been watching this guy, or is it I had been, since he's dead. Well, that's not important. I've watched this guy defend every genocidal action from the genocidal apartheid ethno-state year over year. And it turned out Charlie Kirk, in his last moments, was a defender of Gazans, a voice for peace that called for the self-determination of the Palestinians, the Qisats Hadarach of the Muslims. Wow. Holy shit. Wow. There's literal people going like, "Ooh, Charlie, we had you so wrong. Charlie was gonna give it to Israel." Like, come on, bro. I've seen so many stupid takes, but this one just numbed my brain. This take is so stupid. It blew away all the feels I was having about the man's death. Brought me right out of my slump and made me angry all over again. Let me show you that comment that got under my skin. It's this one right here. This comment and the likes it got gave me physical whiplash. I'm not kidding. My neck almost snapped from this bizarre-ass take. That Charlie, no, Israel is not starving Gazans. Kirk, the guy who called starving children in Gaza propaganda, called himself an evangelical Christian Zionist, the biggest supporting bloc for Israel, has repeatedly said, "I stand with Israel." This was the guy who was going to be the bane of Israel? I had to delete my Instagram because his takes on the Israeli genocide were such rage-inducing, blatant propaganda.
Israel is really a force of free enterprise, of freedom, private property rights, free expression, and it's a really incredible success story. So, and I also think that we should not cede the territory. We should not call it Palestine. That is a work of fiction. It's right next to Narnia and J.R.R. Tolkien's Middle-earth. It does not exist. There is a place called the Palestinian Authority, which really should be called the territories of Judea and Samaria. The people that live in Judea and Samaria have really nothing with the non-contiguous parts of Gaza. Israel never should have been given up their rights to Gaza. It was one of the biggest mistakes Israel ever made.
It was wrecking my mental health. I'm not lying, I swear. It was making me perpetually angry, and I have to say that I've been hate watching for a long time. I don't get rage baited or angry quickly. I'm plenty desensitized to every conservative bullshit that comes along. But this one did it. It did the trick, and it's not even rage bait. The dumbasses who keep going on with this theory, they got this theory from a couple of clips doing the rounds on Twitter and Reddit from this interview Kirk did with my ex-crush Benny Babito. And believe me, I watched that whole thing to make sure if I got this right. And I did. Nothing in that interview even suggested that Kirk was gonna turn on Israel, but apparently all it takes is a couple of Klimp chimps and you can make a hero out of a hate monger. Here, I have the clip right here.
We're running out of time here, but just last question on this, Ben. I know this might be a tougher question, but Bibi said, quote, I didn't like he said this, I'll be honest. You can't be MAGA if you're anti-Israel. I don't like it for a couple reasons. How did you analyze that statement from Bibi?
Look at the clip, bro. He doesn't even want to ask Benny these questions. The only reason he's even doing it is because most of the conservative base in America is now anti-Israel. Hell, even mainstream news networks do this shit, where they'll have on someone from the ethno-state and then give the lightest pushback on their comments. Don't call out any lies, don't question any of the rhetoric, don't question the framing. They even go along with the bullshit statistics about the number of dead Palestinians from the genocidal bozos. God. And that's pretty much what Kirk did. That's all he did. And it was enough to make him a martyr. They made him a martyr for this. God damn, America, what the fuck? Look, I get it, man. I really do. No one likes Israel, except my ex-crush, Benny Babito. But that doesn't mean you have to ascribe non-existent morals to a known Israeli propagandist. Charlie Kirk shouldn't have been killed like that. But that doesn't mean you have to pin it all on Israel, man. They've done more than enough war crimes that you can condemn them for. This stupid theory is now actively being used to try to turn dearly departed Charlie into a Martin Luther King of the white conservatives. Is it gonna work? Fuck no. That guy was a hate monger through and through. Plus, it's hilarious watching all the "are you gonna cry, snowflake" conservatives clutch their collective pearls at all the meany comments about Kirk. And let's face it, despite his violent and untimely demise, dearly departed Kirk deserves all the mean comments coming his way. If you can dish them out, you gotta take them as well. That's a fundamental law of nature, according to me at least. And besides, I wonder, with Martin Luther King's, there's a lot of iconic quotes that you get when you search his name. What kind of quotes are gonna pop up when you search up Charlie Kirk's name years from now? The civil rights were a mistake. Well, feel free to share them in the comments. Thank you for listening, and peace out.